Let's bring in a Congressman, Matt Gaetz from Florida, Republican there, and let's just jump right into it. I'm sure you heard our conversation with Steve Moore. Now, sometimes those decisions are easier made than done when not running for re-election. I know this has split the Republican Party to a degree. Where do you stand, Congressman Gaetz?
I stand with most Republicans who believe we have to have some bridge back to reemployment that will include state payments, it will include federal payments pursuant to the president's executive order, but it also, as Stephen very deftly pointed out, cannot create a disincentive when we've got to get the economy accelerated. I don't understand why we're treating all employees the same way, too. I think that with some of the enhanced state-based sophistication, there's a way to ensure that, like in my state of Florida, if you're offered your job back and you don't take it back, then you aren't eligible for that extended unemployment. So I think there's a way to meld the financial dollar amount with policies that ensure that we're not just sending cash to people who are choosing not to work, rather than people whose jobs have fundamentally become illegal. Like if you're a bartender right now, there is no choice for you to make to go back to work. And I think for those folks, we do need that extended bridge.
It's interesting because as a small business owner in New Jersey, and before my office was down on Wall Street, it's so tough. I've offered people their jobs back, and they've still gone to the unemployment office and said no, they couldn't have a job, and I would have to leave work and go to court to make sure they didn't get the benefits. It's such an awful system. It should be automated so that if someone's offered a job, to your point, and they don't take it, they don't get unemployment benefits either. I agree with you 1,000% there. Where are we right now with these negotiations? Is anything going to happen? Feels like both sides have drawn lines in the sands that are half a world apart.
Nancy Pelosi is refusing to put on the floor of the House any legislation that does not include an additional $1 trillion in aid to state and local governments. Here's what I would suggest. Let's take the things we all agree on: forbearance of student loan interest, the eviction help, that bridge for unemployment for people whose jobs are illegal. Let's take those features, put them on the floor, and get them into law. And then I understand there are things that Republicans want that Democrats object to, like liability protection. There are things Democrats want that Republicans are objecting to, like just this wash of cash onto state and local governments without any real nexus to the virus. And if those have to be held in abeyance, then let's at least do the stuff that we agree on. And It's so frustrating to see my fellow Americans not get the benefit of just a little bit of cooperation from the Congress right now.
I love that idea. I think it's fantastic. I also want to ask you about some Republicans, not a lot, but those who are objected to President Trump's use of executive orders. I don't think he had a choice. I don't think the American public had a choice with all the bickering and all the posturing happening in D.C. and Congress.
Well, of course it makes us uncomfortable to legislate by executive order, but as you pointed out, we are literally in an emergency right now as a consequence of the Wuhan virus. And when I hear my Democrat colleagues clutch their pearls over the use of the executive order, I wonder, where that outrage was when Barack Obama was creating amnesty for people who came to our country illegally via executive order. So I think both sides have crossed the Rubicon and perhaps, gone beyond what we have traditionally thought of for the executive power. I would prefer that we legislate, but in a time of emergency, we can't just watch our fellow Americans die and starve and be left abandoned because the Congress is too immature to just vote on the stuff we agree on that would solve like 80% of the problems people are going through, and then we can get back to work. Hey, one more thing, Charles. Steny Hoyer, the majority leader, just gave back a week of legislative work, extended Congress's vacation during this time, and that, I think, only reduces the likelihood that we'll have the type of kind of tough, roll-up-your-sleeves legislative work that's necessary for us to get the job done.
Yeah. It's better when the clock is ticking. Next time Congress crosses the Rubicon, the American public wants you to bring food and water, please. Congressman Gaetz, thank you very much. Folks, we'll be right back.